Even though Wall Street crashed the economy in 2008, what little regulations we currently have on Wall Street, we know that they hate it and they're doing everything they can to lobby Congress to get those removed and repealed. Now, the problem is that they're not really going to be able to do this without getting Democrats on board. And they're currently spending a lot of money trying to lobby Democrats. So according to the International Business Times, in their years-long quest to rescind bank regulations and oppose the Obama administration's fiduciary rule, financial executives have at times needed the help of a group of Wall Street-friendly Democratic lawmakers to secure votes necessary to advance their agenda. Now, as those executives and Republican lawmakers seek the votes needed to help Donald Trump dismantle Dodd-Frank rules, a caucus of moderate House Democrats has chosen a former Wall Street executive and prolific fundraiser of finance industry money to lead them. Representative Jim Himes of Connecticut, a former Goldman Sachs vice president representing Greenwich and the newly elected head of the moderate New Democratic Coalition, is scheduled on Wednesday to be feted at a fundraiser at the Washington home of Lou Costantino, according to an invite obtained by the transparency group Political Party Time. There is a Lou Costantino, who is a former Merrill Lynch lobbyist, who is now the top lobbyist for Managed Funds Association, a major trade association for the hedge fund and private equity industries. Himes is one of the most active Wall Street fundraisers in the Democratic caucus, having raked in more than $2.6 million from the industry during his 8-year congressional career. If the fundraiser is the MFA's Lou Costantino, the timing of the event is significant because it comes just as Wall Street lobbyists are looking to peel off Democratic votes to change Dodd-Frank. Himes may be a top target because of his new position leading the New Democrat Coalition, a group of 61 Democrats in the House who have in the past provided key support to Republicans on Wall Street in their efforts to block or weaken Obama administration financial rules. So think of the implications here. So the members of this New Democrat Coalition, which it's just, it should be called the Old Democrat Coalition because it's more of the same pro-Wall Street policies. There's nothing to do with them being moderates. They're just the status quo Democrat here. But, you know, these Democrats, they came together, they chose Himes because he's a, quote, prolific fundraiser from Wall Street, and he came from the industry. So they're thinking that if they get behind Himes, well, he's someone who could really help their electoral prospects because he's able to go to his donors on Wall Street, go to his friends on Wall Street, his colleagues on Wall Street, former colleagues, and get them to raise money for people in this caucus. So they chose him because they're greedy, because they're self-interested, and they may be willing to repeal Dodd-Frank, which, again, it's better than nothing, but it doesn't do enough to rein in Wall Street. They may be willing to repeal even that, so we can't even have Dodd-Frank. That's the state of our country. We are so controlled by corporate interests that we can't even have milquetoast policy like Dodd-Frank. It's just so infuriating to me, and anyone who is a Democrat should be calling them out. They should be embarrassed by their party. And Himes is doing favors for the industry that he came from. This is a brazen act of corruption, and the only thought that came to my head was, where are the party leaders? Where's Nancy Pelosi? Where's Chuck Schumer? Why hasn't Nancy Pelosi called Himes and said, hey, what are you doing? Think of the optics right now. We are the most unpopular we've been in a while. We've been devastated at all levels of government. We don't need you to be raising record levels of money from Wall Street, you know, for other members of your coalition, of your caucus. Why isn't she doing this? Why isn't she trying to rein him in when he's doing something that would have hurt the party? Well, it's because Nancy Pelosi is also a prolific fundraiser. She takes millions of dollars from the industry, and the only reason why she became a leader in the Democratic Party is because of her ability to raise money. You don't get promoted in the Democratic Party unless you prove yourself as a, quote, prolific fundraiser. And Nancy Pelosi did just that. So if you think she's going to rein him in spite of the bad optics, you've got another thing coming. So what we see here is someone from the industry trying to whip up support among his colleagues in the Democratic Party and is trying to influence them to repeal rules that would benefit his former employer. This is a brazen act of corruption, and it is exactly why the Democratic Party is wiped out at every level of government, because when you have this level of corruption that they just flaunt in front of our face, what reason do we have to come out to support you? Because you're marginally better than the Republicans? No. Either you reform and Democratic Party leaders hold these corporate tools responsible and accountable, or the party will continue to lose. This is an embarrassment. They should be ashamed of themselves. And any Democrat who's part of this so-called new Democrat coalition, you should be ashamed of yourself, because you're not a new Democrat. You're an old Democrat. You're part of the status quo. You're part of the problem, and you need to leave office if you're not going to represent voters.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.